Hi friends, I welcome you all here at TNV Academy. In this session, we are going to talk about an international standard ISO 37001 2016. Now we shall discuss Clause 9, Performance Evaluation. The Clause 9 of ISO 37001 2016 is about measuring and evaluating anti-bribery management system to ensure that it is effective and it helps organization to maintain a robust anti-bribery management system. Organization will need to consider what should be measured, the methods employed, and when data should be analyzed and reported on. Correspondingly, an internal audit shall be held in order to provide information whether the anti-bribery system is conforming to the organization's requirements and international standard requirements. In order to understand whether the anti-bribery management system is adequate to manage effectively the bribery risks confronted by the organization and whether it is effectively implemented, the organization shall review and report at planned intervals to the top management the adequacy of implementation and the results of investigation audits of anti-bribery management system. The clause 9 has four subclauses, which are 9.1 monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. 9.2 internal audit. 9.3 management review. 9.4 review by anti-bribery compliance function. Let's start with the subclause 9.1 monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. The subclause 9.1 states that the organization must determine what needs to be monitored and measured, who is responsible for monitoring, the methods for monitoring, measurement analysis, and evaluation as applicable to ensure valid results, when the monitoring and measuring shall be performed, when the results from monitoring and measurement shall be analyzed and evaluated, to whom and how such information shall be reported. Subclause 9.1 also talks about the mandatory documentation requirements. It says that the organization shall retain appropriate documented information as evidence of the methods and results. The clause also specifies that the organization must evaluate the anti-bribery performance and the effectiveness and efficiency of the anti-bribery management system. Finally, it is recommended in this clause 9.1 under a note to refer annexure A.19 for guidance. Let's discuss subclause 9.2 internal audit. The subclause 9.2.1 states that the organization must conduct internal audits at planned intervals to provide information on whether the anti-bribery management system conforming to the organization's own requirements for its anti-bribery management system. The organization must also conduct internal audits at planned intervals to provide information on whether the anti-bribery management system conforming to the requirements of this document. The subclause 9.2.1 also specifies that organization must ensure that internal audit is effectively implemented and maintained. Subclause 9.2.1 recommends as note 1 to refer ISO 19011 to have guidance on auditing management systems. Under note 2, clause also states that the scope and scale of the organization's internal audit activities can vary depending on a variety of factors, including organization size, structure, maturity, and locations. Coming to subclause 9.2.2, this clause says that the organization must plan, establish, implement, and maintain an audit program or programs including the frequency, methods, responsibilities, planning requirements, and reporting, which shall take into consideration the importance of the processes concerned and the results of previous audits. As per subclause 9.2.2, the organization must define the audit criteria and scope for each audit and must select competent auditors and conduct audits to ensure objectivity and the impartiality of the audit process. Subclause 9.2.2 specifies that organization must ensure that the results of the audits are reported to relevant management, the anti-bribery compliance function, top management, and, as appropriate, the governing body, if any. Covering the mandatory documentation requirements of the standard, subclause 9.2.2 states that organization must retain documented information as evidence of the implementation of the audit program and the audit results. Let's talk about subclause 9.2.3. As per this subclause 9.2.3, the standard states that these audits must be reasonable, proportionate, and risk based. Such audits must consist of internal audit processes or other procedures which review procedures, controls, and systems for bribery or suspected bribery, violation of the anti-bribery policy or anti-bribery management system requirements, failure of business associates to conform to the applicable anti-bribery requirements of the organization, and weaknesses in or opportunities for improvement to the anti-bribery management system. Let's talk about subclause 9.2.4. This clause states that the organization must ensure that internal audits are undertaken to ensure the objectivity and impartiality of these audit programs by one of the following: an independent function or personnel established or appointed for this process, or the anti-bribery compliance function unless the scope of the audit includes an evaluation of the anti-bribery management system itself, or similar work for which the anti-bribery compliance function is responsible, or an appropriate person from a department or function other than the one being audited, or an appropriate third party or a group comprising any of A to D. Subclause 9.2.4 also states that the organization must ensure that no auditor is auditing his or her own area of work. It is also recommended as a note under subclause 9.3.4 to refer to annexure A.16 for guidance. Let's talk about clause 9.3, management review. The subclause 9.3.1, top management review, states that the top management must review the organization's anti-bribery management system at planned intervals to ensure its continuing suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. Clause 9.3.1 states that the top management review must include consideration of the status of actions from previous management reviews. As per clause 9.3.1, top management review must comprise changes in external and internal issues that are relevant to the anti-bribery management system. The review must contain the information on the performance of the anti-bribery management system, including trends in non-conformities and corrective actions, monitoring and measurement results, audit results, reports of bribery, investigations, and the nature and extent of the bribery risks faced by the organization. According to the clause 9.3.1, the top management review must include consideration of effectiveness of actions taken to address bribery risks and the opportunities for continual improvement of the anti-bribery management system. For more information about continual improvement, you can refer to clause 10.2 of the standard. Clause 9.3.1 further states that the outputs of the top management review must include decisions related to continual improvement opportunities and any need for changes to the anti-bribery management system. A summary of the results of the top management review must be reported to the governing body, if any. To cover the requirements of mandatory document, clause states that the organization must retain documented information as evidence of the results of top management reviews. Coming to subclause 9.3.2, governing body review. Clause 9.3.2 specifies that if the organization has a governing body, then it must undertake periodic reviews of the anti-bribery management system based on information provided by top management and the anti-bribery compliance function, and also any other information that the governing body requests or obtains. According to this clause, the organization must retain summary, documented information as evidence of the results of governing body reviews. Let's discuss subclause 9.4, review by anti-bribery compliance function. The subclause 9.4 of ISO 37001-2016 states that the anti-bribery compliance function must assess on a continual basis whether the anti-bribery management system is adequate to manage effectively the bribery risks faced by the organization and is being effectively implemented also. As per clause 9.4, the anti-bribery compliance function must report at planned intervals and on an ad hoc basis as appropriate to the governing body, if any, and the top management or to a suitable committee of the governing body or top management on the adequacy and implementation of the anti-bribery management system, including the results of investigations and audits. The clause 9.4 also stresses as note 1 that the frequency of such reports depends on the organization's requirements but is recommended to be at least annually. The clause also states under note 2 that the organization can use a business associate to assist in the review as long as the business associate's observations are appropriately communicated to the anti-bribery compliance function, top management, and as appropriate, the governing body, if any. Friends, we have now completed the clause 9, performance evaluation of ISO 37001 2016. I sincerely thank you for all your interest and attention. Thanks and best wishes.